The European Championship final is set to conclude after this. What a long tournament. What a fantastic tournament. We've had some brilliant games, some big matchups. We've had some quality football being played, not just by the big teams, but we've seen some of the smaller nations really put up a big fights in the games, really pull off some great upset stories as well. We see miracle runs, like not miracle runs, but you know, runs that we didn't see possible before the tournament, like Turkey reaching the final, Georgia reaching the round of 16. Georgia reaching the quarterfinals, Turkey reaching the quarterfinals, Georgia reaching the round of 16. Slovakia and what they were able to do, almost getting past England in that game. Just so many storylines, and then you had the big teams all being crunched up in one side of the bracket, and Spain surviving out of there, in which they have earned the right to play against England, who kind of favored from a weak side of the bracket, really weak side of the bracket. So where to start off? Obviously, Spain has performed much better than England at this European Championship. I think Spain, they've been dominating game in, game out. There was one game in particular that they did struggle a little bit in Germany, especially in that second half after scoring that goal. But it was bound to happen with Germany being down. They were really going to go for the game and be aggressive. But apart from that, I thought Spain has been pretty comfortable throughout this entire tournament. Even in that France game, after going down a goal early, you thought for a 5 to 10 minute period they could really be in danger right after that goal. But once they were able to calm it down, the quality of Spain worked through. I just think the beautiful thing about Spain is they play with, number one, they all have amazing technical ability, which is a given when you're Spanish. They all are gifted on the ball. But you also have the added element that you haven't had in the past with verticality, with Lamine Yamal, with Nico Williams, who are not looking to pass the ball into the back of the net like previous Spanish teams that'll actually take on a man, open up space for someone, put in a cross once in a while, take a shot. Lamine Yamal, that goal he scored against France, you don't know how many times we've seen Spain in past tournaments that have an opportunity from legitimate shooting opportunity to strike a ball, but instead they decide to go with the safer 5-yard out pass, 5-yard in pass. Instead of actually, sometimes you don't need to pass the ball into the back of the net every time. Sometimes having a shot is fine. Sometimes you could cross the ball into the box and play a little bit direct. We never see this from Spain teams in the past. They always want to pass the ball into the back of the net and play this beautiful total football of complete possession based. And there was a time when that was just impossible to manage. There was a time Spain, they benefited extremely, winning 2 European Championships and a World Cup. But nowadays, you do need that added element of being able to play direct, being able to have pace, being able to play in behind, and this team provides that. They also still have the quality of the players to control the game, to control possession. Midfield, Fabian Ruiz and Dani Olmo, when he's in, they always pick up clever pocket of spaces that just make it very impossible to defend. That put the center back in midfield in a compromised position, because they pick up brilliant pocket of spaces in between the last line of midfield and the center halves, and they really make good runs into the box, time them perfectly, and they're always options to go score. Morata has only had 1 goal this tournament, and it was at the first game, the opening goal of the European Championships for Spain. But goal scoring has not been an issue because of the goals you get from midfield, because of what you get from Nico Williams. You know what I mean? It's just, they've been absolutely brilliant. And when you have that added element of being vertical and being able to control a game and possession based, it makes you really scary, because there's not a weakness that you have that teams could really own in on. Like in previous Spain teams in the past, what did they really struggle is they struggled against teams that would play a very extreme low block that allowed them to have the ball and pass it around side to side, but they didn't have any crevices for the Spanish players to play forward. Now it's a little bit different, because they have a different way. Number one, they're comfortable playing without the ball. They're comfortable playing out without the ball, and if you sit back, they're not afraid to take on a shot. They put in a box and they put in a crossing and be direct, and most importantly, they got players like Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams that won't just pass the ball side to side trying to find the opening. They'll try to create the opening from themselves by getting past the fullback, shifting the defense, bringing a guy over, and opening up space for someone else. They have added elements. They have more added elements to previous Spain teams to really attack a defense and really get the goals and be clinical, and it's absolutely great to watch. And I can't put into words how impressive they really have been at this European Championship. They have been the best team at this European Championship, no two ways about it. And I think they beat the second best team in this championship already up to this point in Germany. At the Germany, they have an absolute brilliant European Championship as well. Spain, they took care of them, and it's unfortunate for Germany that they had to play Spain this early on in the quarterfinals. But Germany have really, really been good. Now, when it comes to England, I think England, when you talk about all these amazing things about Spain, I can't sit here and say the same for England. England, for a majority of this tournament, have been woeful to the standards of the players, of the quality that they have. They are in the final right now, right? But keep in mind, I go back to this all the time. In the Slovakian round of 16 game, they were 30 seconds away. Last 30 second miracle bicycle kick, wonder goal from a potential Ballon d'Or candidate away from getting eliminated in the round of 16, and it would have been a humiliating exit. Absolutely humiliating exit. And they were horrible in that game. It took them 94 minutes to get a shot on target. The group stages, they were horrible the entire group stages. You start off the opening game, they have a brilliant first 10 to 15 minutes against Serbia. They get the breakthrough. And then they're defending for their lives, and they're holding on for the 3 points for the rest of the game. Denmark, they score a goal early, and then they're hanging on for the rest of the game. And Denmark were able to get an equalizer. And if any team in that second half were gonna get a winner, it was only Denmark. And against Slovenia, oh my God, that first half completely awful first half. Probably the worst half of the tournament, to be fair. Actually, Slovakia was pretty bad too. They bring in they make a little bit of changes, and they play a little bit better in the second half, but it was really made easier by the fact that Slovenia, they were just playing for the draw and sitting in, and they got that draw, so hats off to Slovenia, by the way. And then you look at that Slovakia game, as I say, absolutely woeful that entire game. There was maybe a 3-minute period where they got the equalizer and they got the lead, where they were decent, and then the rest of the 120 minutes, even when they got that second goal, despite what we saw for the first 94 minutes or so, the rest of that extra time, they went pragmatic, and then they were on the back foot. They were the ones defending. And then against Switzerland, really, really poor first 75 minutes. They end up conceding a goal that was deserved for Switzerland. They were better than them, in my opinion. And then moment of magic bails out England with Bukayo Saka in the 78th minute after a bunch of reactionary substitutions and a change of formation that came from Gareth Southgate to just completely change it up. Very, very reactionary in the fact that he waited for Switzerland to score a goal. But moment of magic bails out bad decision making and bad coaching in a moment of magic, a moment of individual brilliance and quality from Bukayo Saka saved them, and then they ended up reaching the penalty shootout after again being on the back foot of extra time. And in the penalty shootout, they had 5 brilliant penalty takers out there, and they found themselves in the semifinals. Now the semifinals, the good thing about England, if you want to look at it from a positive side, you want to see progression, you want to go into it with momentum. The performance against Netherlands was by far their best performance in the European Championship. Second half, it was completely awful as always, but it was awful from both teams. But the first half, I thought England, especially after conceding that goal, they were really, really brilliant in that first half. Despite the fact that they got a penalty, in my opinion, they didn't deserve. They were really, really good. They created a lot of opportunities. Phil Foden had 2 massive opportunities. But, and then, they were able to capitalize on another individual moment of quality from Ollie Watkins in the second half. And they were able to get through. But at the end of the day, they find themselves, no matter how poor they've been, they find themselves in a position that they're 90 minutes away from the final. Now just strictly talking about this game, I do think England are going to be on the back foot. I think Spain is going to take control of possession. and I think England will be on the back foot. The thing that would concern me if I'm an English fan is, as Spain ease themselves into this game, if England were to make this an open game, I think Spain will really take advantage of the space left to attack England. But if England were to be pragmatic, like I fully expect Gareth Southgate to be, I think Spain, in their ability to control the ball, they will really suffocate England. They'll push England back, and once England gets pushed back, I really think England are really going to struggle to play out. And to be like, I don't think Harry Kane is going to have any chances on the ball or anything. I think it's going to be really hard for England to play out of it, because as soon as Spain will lose the ball, with how suffocated, how pushed back England will, I think the press is just going to be ferocious. And I'm really interested to see the way England approach it. I think England are going to be really, really pragmatic, and it comes down to whether Spain can do what they've been doing throughout this entire tournament and get the ball in the back end, because they'll have their chances. They'll have their chances. They just need to be clinical. I think this is a day Morata, he got to be clinical for Spain, because England's defense is a strong defense, and you're not going to get a lot of clinical chances, but they will have their opportunities. And if they are clinical, the only way I see England win this final is to have to take a massive choke job from Spain, in the fact that they just can't finish, because they will have a lot of their opportunity, they'll have a lot of the ball, but it's whether or not they'll be able to take advantage of it, because the chances will come. They are the better team than England. This is by far the best team England has faced at this European Championship.